rise and pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I open the meeting to the public. Anybody who wishes to address the board may do so at this time.
Laura Baker, 24 Lake Street, which I think you know is coming. You know they had some problems with the flooding on my property. I've taken some pictures of what it looked like. I know the village has said they dug the ditch in the back. The ditch runs north to south that they dug. The water comes east to west. What I'm trying to figure out is how come I have to deal with all this water on my property every year. Not once a year, but more than likely twice a year. I mean, it floods out my property that I'm paying taxes on. And I just want to know, why can't the village do something about this? Especially since the village has built up their property in the back.
I think the superintendent has an answer for you.
I went back there and looked at the problem today,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like you're saying, everything in the back is built up, and we dug a ditch from south to north that empties out on, then it heads east out to Route 2.
Right.
And it seems like everything is funneled down toward your property. So what we suggested was to go in there with some clay fill and build a berm up, so it would be more of a dish head out toward Route 2, and it would restrict, the only water that you would get down your ditches are like the surrounding areas. But all the flow from the back field, we're going to try to divert it north and go down Route 2. You got to check the culvert size. I mean, apparently the state already said that they only own right to the culvert and that's it.
Right, there's pin markings for that. Because when I had my property surveyed, put up the fence line along there, I found out exactly where the state owned, and I talked with the state, and they told me that if I wanted to, I could fill the ditch line in. Which
Right.
I said I understand was an overflow, but I mean, I didn't expect it to be, my house swamping my yard every year.
Right.
And that's what it's come down to.
It is your property, and it is the water coming from the back fields that is draining down through. Like I said, it seems like you're getting like a funnel effect down to your property, and if there's any restriction that heads north, it seems to back up and go down the 2 ditches along the side of your property. And I think if we brought it up, maybe just a slight berm, maybe like a 1.5 foot berm, and it would make it flow north.
Because it seems to be that one corner where it seems to really pocket,
Seems
and
to
that's
be
where the
really
village
low.
is built up, and they've got the pipe there too, which doesn't help at all.
Right.
Which then everything funnels right there in that one spot and washes us right out.
That's all we can do is try it, Laura.
I know, it's really frustrating because I've been dealing with this for 5 years.
Yeah.
And now I've got a mess in my lawn because I'm thankful that the guys came over that Tuesday night that was flooded out because the south side of my house was flooded out. But, I mean, Nelson loved him to bits, but he dug the crap out of my ditch. I mean, I spent $10,000 on the lawn, and right now I've got a mess sitting on the front of there. And it wasn't the first time. There was 3 years ago that he was sent over on my property to dig it out, and he dug up then, and nothing was ever rectified with that. I spent money on the lawn and stuff, and now it's all gone.
We'll repair the damage that we've done. I will send them over to repair whatever damage we've done. We're going to try to rectify the problem.
Now, basically want, the culvert runs east and west along your property. Is there any way to put a culvert there and fill that in? So would that help?
Our expense?
That's our property.
It's the back part where the problem is, where my property meets the village property. There's a ditch line that runs east to west, it digs down, and then there's one that runs north to south. Dennis, if I'm not mistaken, redug north to south, but east to west was not dug. If it was at that one spot where the properties meet, it's really low there, and that's where it floods down.
Right, exactly.
And that's where I get the overflow from.
How long, do you know the length of your property?
Offhand, no, I don't. I think it's 600 something feet, but I'm not positive, Brian. It's almost 700 feet. Something like that, I'm not positive.
It seems like everything is getting built in the back, and with the lay of the land from the wastewater treatment facility, everything seems to be pitched toward her way.
Can I say something about that? Years ago, before the sewer plant was even there, and before the trailer court was even there, that was always a low spot. When Clark's lived there, when they had the house there, I remember the place used to get flooded all the time. All the time. Every year that place would get flooded.
I understand.
You know,
that.
it was it's the
Yeah.
lowest spot in that area, I think, and stuff like that. And I know you brought up your property and stuff like that, but,
Yeah, we brought it up, but we're told
Yeah.
we could only bring it up so far.
and then when the
that's
trailer court went in there and stuff, it made a difference. Then when the sewer plant went in, it made a difference and stuff, so I mean, yeah.
what it is. Everything's been
Yeah.
built up around it even more so, I
Right,
think.
yeah. But, I know years ago, that was the lowest
Yeah.
spot of the whole down that area.
Ronnie, when do you think you can get in there to do that? I know you don't,
It's the material that we need.
yeah.
We would need almost like a clay material.
It's not available right now either.
It's not.
I know what you're talking about.
But we can keep an eye on it, and if we can send them back to the ditch that goes north to the south, and have them take the snow and ice out of there, and see if we can get the water to go. This summer, I think we can, make some kind of a small berm in there to divert the water to go out there.
So it's like I said, it's every spring. I mean, I realized this summer the flash flood that we had in town was just totally freaky.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was unreal down. I mean, everything I had in my backyard washed right out to the road. I mean, to have that much stuff how much water come down there is unreal.
Didn't you look at that once before with us, that we were gonna fill in some?
Well, what we were looking at was cleaning up the ditch, the north-south ditch, because we thought if we improved that, then the flow would go north-south, and that would alleviate her problem, which apparently it did for a while.
Not a whole lot.
But then,
I had
you guys
Nelson,
see
I had Nelson back there last summer, last fall, and he cleaned it all out.
yeah.
See, it's just we can't get the depth of the ditch, to go out to Route 2, because we're limited on which way we can make the water flow.
We'll have plenty of clay once either the force main is continued or the outfall is done. You'll have all the clay you need to do some remolding.
Yeah, really needs to be remolded there. It was never, it just seemed to be always a low spot down through there. And I know you brought your property up quite a bit because it used to flood out a lot worse than what it is now.
Well, we can do Laura's try.
Okay.
Give it our best shot. Pray to God it works.
If not, we'll pay tax on a houseboat. That's what I look at. That's what I own right now is a houseboat.
Anybody else want to address the board this time? If not, I'll close this part of the meeting. You'll have a chance at the end of the meeting. Minutes of the previous meeting. You all have copies. Is there any additions or deletions?
Make the motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that. Motion made by trustee Menard, seconded by trustee Jefferson. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, vote by using sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Bills.
We have no additions or deletions this evening.
Thank you, Arsen.
Move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Moved by trustee Penfield, seconded by trustee Menard. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, vote by using sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence.
We only have one piece of correspondence tonight. It's a letter dated March 11th. It was the Village Board of Trustees. Dear sirs, this is to advise you that I have filed paperwork with the New York State Retirement System to retire from my position with the Village of Rouses going effective June 1, 2004. And it's signed Mary Nottown.
Yeah. Need a motion.
We need any motion on that?
That's all I have.
Report of the mayor and the trustees. But nothing on the agenda, but I want to report on the legislative meeting. And biggest talk in a legislative meeting is the retirement system. The cost that it's costing everybody. Actually, the Attorney General spoke, and one mayor got up and asked the Attorney General why he didn't arrest the last comptroller. Because he said if that had been done out in the public area, the he did what done to us, they'd have gone like Enron. Had a big chuckle. And I think we're very well aware of what it's done to everybody. The cost is astronomical.
As long as they don't take no money away from me, I don't care.
Can't touch you. Can't touch you.
Could run out of money though.
That, it just seemed to consume everybody then. The rest of the stuff is usually run of the mill. Witch law, a lot of repeal. It might stand a chance getting it this year because the Speaker of the Assembly, Mr. Silver, said definitely needs to raise that limit on that witch law. And that's the first time he has ever committed to it, so. That's it for me, Trustee Menard.
I have one item on my agenda tonight. I'd like to make a motion to have authorization for two people, Dave Supernaw and Tommy Reed, to attend a technical conference for Huntington, New York. Seems like it's a pretty good course. It's 16 hours of water contact and 14 hours of wastewater contact hours. So seems like a pretty good conference. It will be from May 17th to the 20th for both of them to travel out there. Paperwork seems to be all in order and everything. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Trustee Menard, seconded by Trustee Jefferson. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by your side of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
And just one other thing. This is gonna get out before tomorrow, Cal.
Nope.
Hope everybody gets out and votes tomorrow. We've got our elections. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Menard. Trustee Penfield.
I have a couple of items tonight. One of them comes from the Rouses Point Fire Department. It's from Dan Inferno, Rescue Captain. It's regarding a request for a village resolution for an ALS operating certificate. Apparently, they've received notification that the Mountain Lakes Regional EMS Council is requiring all ambulance services within their jurisdiction to complete an application for an advanced life support, which is an ALS operating certificate. My understanding is that this doesn't necessarily have to do with their certification for the ambulance service, but they're really interested on what plans pertain to the EMS system to meet future needs and to ensure that a current plan is in effect to respond to emergency situations if an ambulance or crew is not available for any reason. What Dan is asking us for is that we have a resolution stating that we do not object, we as a board do not object to the issuance of this ALS operating certificate for the Rouses Point ambulance. He said he will forward the resolution along with the other application materials, and basically he's just interested in having this on paper as quickly as we can. He also adds, for your additional information, we presently have an advanced EMT paramedic level and an advanced EMT critical care level, 5 EMT basic level, 1 EMT basic level in training, due to complete their studies in May of this year, and 1 certified first responder in training, also due for completion in May. He's urging us to act on this request tonight and provide a written copy of the resolution. Our continued support of the efforts put forth by the members of the Rouses Point Fire Department EMS squad, as well as those of the department, is greatly appreciated. So it's something that I think we should take care of as soon as possible that he needs for his paperwork. Yes, so I'll make a motion that we have Phil draft a resolution. Can we do that, Phil, and pass it tonight anyway?
Yes.
Okay. And so basically that we do not object to the issuance of this ALS operating certificate for our Rouses Point Fire Department.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Trustee Penfield, seconded by Trustee Jefferson. Roll call vote. Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
The mayor votes aye.
And the second item that I have tonight comes from the parent support group here at the local elementary school. One of their representatives, actually their president, Jan Letourneau, spoke to me about the project that they have for bluebird boxes that some of the students will be building. I'm not sure if it's, I think it's the 4th and 5th graders from the school here. She'd spoken with Mrs. Orr, and they have a plan, if we agree, that since they have many, they will be building many more bluebird boxes than they'll be able to place on the school property. They thought that they could do a nice little partnership with the village and perhaps put some around the village. Apparently, there's certain areas of Route 11 and Route 9 that are at natural bluebird habitat, and it's something that I guess the kids are pretty excited about. She talked to me about instructions given on where they should be placed in terms of proximity to trees and how high above the ground they're supposed to be placed. So if that's something that we might be interested in, I'd be happy to speak with them further about it. I guess the completion date is going to be sometime around the 22nd of April. So we might be able to install them when we're sprucing up for spring.
I believe that birds eat mosquitoes up there.
I have no
That's
idea.
one of
But I
the-
have a nice packet of information, George, if you'd like to read about it. So I really have no idea.
What?
So put a bunch of them out back here.
Not a bad idea.
If they eat
There's-
trees,
If you can get them to go into the areas where they
put
are.
them all around the.
I think they'll be looking for some help from the guys to help install these, so they have specific instructions. And I have a whole packet of information if anyone would like to look at it. It's kind of interesting, and I think it'd be a really nice thing to do with the kids at school.
Yeah.
So I should investigate it further.
Absolutely.
Good.
You don't need a
Okay.
motion on that.
No,
Go ahead.
just an
Thank
okay,
you.
it's good. That's it.
Thank you very much, Trustee Penfield. Trustee Jefferson.
I really don't have anything to report tonight. Just,
Good, that's enough.
I just want to reiterate what Trustee Menard said. I hope people in the village care about what's going on in the village, and tomorrow they come out and vote. Whatever happens, happens, but I just hope people get out and vote. That's all I have to report tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Jefferson. Bill.
Just wanted, on that same tone, the polls will be open tomorrow from noon to 9 here in this room, and we're ready to go other than that.
Thank you. Arsen?
Excuse me, on Wednesday, March 17th, our sewer distribution system bond anticipation note is maturing. That's a $1.2 million note that we took out last year. And I'm renewing that note at a rate of 1.95 for a year. That's a callable issue. It'll eventually go under the EFC funding. So I just want the board to be aware of that. And the tentative budget will be out sometime this week. 40% of it printed and formatted and all that good stuff. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee. You just got the vote. Thank you, Trustee Colonel. Brian?
Everything I have is steel work for the substation. In addition, should be here at the end of this week.
Hallelujah.
Center of Recton Street.
Hallelujah.
We jump on it. And there, if you see a blue building alongside Maple Street between the road and the sidewalk, a small little spicing shack, they're going to start spicing cable this week also.
To get a building permit.
Oh, it's not big enough. We already went around with that.
So if people see a little building alongside the road, it's
That it? That's it. Thank you, Brian. Doug? Thank you, John and Doug.
Just updates on water and sewer. On the water project, things are slowing down but still moving along. The contractor is working on finishing the electrical and the instrumentation. This past week, they completed the telemetry. That's the antennas up on top of the tank that send the signal down to the water plant and tell us how much water we have in the tank, what the chlorine content is, etc. And the roof contract was awarded so that the roof work should begin later this month and be done sometime in April. And the serpentine piping, as you all know, has been signed, and a notice of to proceed has been given to them, so that serpentine piping will hopefully start in April and be done in May. And any questions on water? With that, we've got some update on sewer, and I'd like to hand out your material, and John will tell you about that end of the business.
I received a call for your information today from Senator Little's office,
Yes.
and it was on our easement with the DEC,
Or the outfall.
the outfall line, and she assured me that that is forthcoming, that they have been in contact with the DEC, and they have what's going to happen is that they're going to turn the property back over to OGS
Right, and then we can get our
And
easement.
then OGS will issue the easement.
Right,
And so she said, she said, well, you probably won't be before the 1st of June. I said, that's not acceptable. I said, I need it by the 1st of April. I said, I realize you're pushing, but we need to get that contract out the bid so that we can finish on time to meet the consent order. She said, I wasn't aware of that. I will get on that today.
excellent. That was a conversation today? Super.
So there she was gonna call DEC back today. There's no reason why she said they can't move. I mean,
Well, if you could take a minute to just look that paper over, what it is a summary of the meetings that we've had with the sewer personnel over the last couple of weeks, and I'll turn it over to John.
This is just kind of an informal summary of what our discussions were. We met a couple of weeks last week, actually the week before last, with Tom and Ernie to kind of update the project. Then finalize the plan as far as the scope of the project and various elements. It was quite a productive meeting. There were a number of things that the sewer plant personnel had come up with in the last 6 to 8 months that they felt could be eliminated from the project, basically helping the budget considerably. It looks as though they're a little held up here getting some of the material back from various people we talked to about the cost estimates as far as equipment and that sort of thing, but it looks as though we should be ready for the sewer committee meeting on or about March 24th or 25th. And then have something ready for overview and presentation to the board right around the end of the month. I talked to Brian on a couple of issues, and he was pretty interested in being involved as far as interfacing with the village. A couple of forest main relocations to simplify the work, make it make it a little easier to construct and hopefully therefore a little less expensive. As the mayor indicated, the village got a letter in on the DEC easement commission across the Forest Preserve. I noted that it didn't contain a firm time schedule. And that, I know I've been through this before with those people on a couple of other projects. It's hard to predict the time frame, but certainly all the calls and letters that the village has been involved with here in the last 6 months are starting to finally have a little effect on people down in Albany, and I hope that the mayor's goal of April 1st will be achieved. I was kind of encouraged by some of the stuff that I've seen going on, a few of the calls that I've received in that regard. So it's looking as though it's moving along at a slow and prodding pace, but at least it's moving. Any questions or comments on that particular aspect of the sewer project?
George, one thing I thought of is when if you're talking to Betty again, to give her more impetus, just tell her that we need to be able to do this project while Route 11 is being worked on by the DOT, so that when we rip off the end of Rose Avenue there, that we can put the pipe across, open cut across the road instead of a push. That'll save us $30,000 easy, plus the benefits of having the approval now, so that we can take advantage of the competitive bidding climate while winter is still hanging.
I'll give that young lady a call tomorrow morning. tell her that.
Like solid figures, yeah. It's 30 grand easy for a push.
Mike?
The only thing I have to report is, went to a conference a couple weeks ago in Lake Placid for building officials. It's get continuing ed credits there, which I get applied to every year. So other than that, supposedly I'm a lot smarter. That's it.
Open meeting to the public at this time. No one wish to address us at this time. We are ready for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Moved by trustee Menard, seconded by trustee Penfield. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And don't go by that clock.
Yeah, 7:00.